and welcome back to Football Made Simple. The knockout stages continued, with two superpowers in Portugal and Belgium facing off in the round of 16. Both sides have had their ups and downs this tournament, but Belgium were the favourites, and in the end they did come out on top, 1-0 winners thanks to a brilliant strike from Trogan Hazard. The XG ended in Portugal's favour, but it was to no avail. But what tactics did Santos and Martinez use? In this video we take a look. A quick reminder of both teams' formations, as you can see courtesy of our video sponsor, OneFootball. OneFootball is the best football app on the market, giving you formations like this, stats, match commentary and so much more to keep you up to date during the match. And now they even have a special Euros section that they've introduced, where you can easily access the latest news and scores from the tournament. The best part is you can get it absolutely free for Android or iOS through the link in the description below. Now let's start with Belgium and what they did with their 42% possession. With the game level, Portugal weren't really looking to press, so Belgium's centre-backs got time on the ball, spreading fairly wide to allow their wing-backs higher. Ronaldo would usually be the sole presser when they used a mid-block, as unlike previous matches against back threes, Portugal wanted their wingers to protect the wide areas a lot more. And Portugal could also protect the centre, with Paulinho staying deeper to protect zone 14, whilst Moutinho and Sanchez could press Belgium's double pivots, limiting the central play. But in Lukaku, Belgium also had an excellent target man, and with time on the ball, the centre-backs would either look to play it into him directly to flick on for a runner, or they could play it into the channels for Lukaku to chase. In fact, we see elements of this in the lead-up to Hazard's goal. However, Belgium began to look for a little more control in the midfield, often with De Bruyne dropping in off the right, so that if Moutinho and Sanchez were drawn towards the pivots, he would then have space. And in these situations we could see Jota come much narrower to offer cover, and this could leave Meunier free to potentially receive a switch. But generally, in previous games we've seen how vulnerable Portugal were to quick switches of play, especially against a front five. But Belgium rarely made good use of this, as Portugal's wingers were generally much more willing to defend wider to help prevent this. Martinez switched about 20 minutes in to a dedicated midfield three to match up with Portugal, with Hazard being given the freedom to drop in at times, so that Belgium could have a 4 versus 3 advantage. And as he was the spare man, we often saw him receive deeper in the left half space and then look to combine with Lukaku, who was excellent at holding up the ball and laying it on to runners. We also did see that when Eden Hazard was in the half space on the build-up, this could often draw the centre-back and the full-back towards him, and he could then look to flick it round the corner to Trogan Hazard, who could then advance, having gotten away from a marker. But let's focus on Portugal, who used a number of systems to try solve this puzzle. From the goal kick, Portugal split their centre-backs, and as we've seen many teams do at this tournament, Belgium's front three had their wide men on the centre-backs, with the centre-forward deeper to cut off the route into the pivots. But Guerreiro and Dalot started quite deep, meaning that they could receive the ball in this space, and Meunier would be reluctant to press, as this would leave Alderweireld 1 versus 1 against Jota. But higher up the pitch, Belgium defended with De Bruyne central and Lukaku right, which may have been for a few reasons. As we saw during their time together at Everton, Martinez likes the pace of Lukaku to attack the regions vacated by the left fullback on the transitions, which we saw on a few occasions as Guerreiro tended to push high. If there was a transition from the central regions, De Bruyne could also easily get between the lines to orchestrate the break. But defensively, this also meant that where there were 3 versus 2 down in the midfield, De Bruyne could drop onto Paulinho to make it man-to-man in the midfield, making it harder to progress. At times though, when Sanchez got on the ball, he was able to beat his man with a driving run, now giving Portugal the advantage in the midfield. But with the centre occupied, Portugal were also looking to find runners in behind with a longer ball from the centre-backs. But Lukaku often drifted too central in this initial shape, meaning that Guerreiro was consistently receiving in space down the left, having the most touches in the match. And with Ronaldo wanting to drift around the pitch, this would also allow Jota to move up into the centre-forward position. And once Portugal were behind, their midfield structure changed, initially moving Sanchez to attacking midfield, where he was often able to receive between the lines when Belgium's pivots were higher up. This would then force Witsel and Tielemans to defend deeper, giving Portugal's deeper midfielders more space. And Portugal had also been looking to overload the box for the crosses, but in this shape it was only really Ronaldo and Jota getting into the box. So at first, Santos shifted to a 4-4-2 diamond, with Felix at the tip of the diamond and Fernandes at right central midfield. This gave them the midfield advantage, where if Witsel and Tielemans were pressing too high, a higher quality attacker in Felix could receive in turn. But if those two sat too deep, Fernandes in particular had the potential to create from deep. And soon this shifted to a rough 3-3-4 shape with Danilo and Silva on. The back three allowed the fullbacks to provide all the width, knowing that they had cover. In the midfield, Felix could once again get between the lines, or if the pivots were deeper, Fernandes would have space. And they now had 2 genuine aerial threats, as well as midfield runners who could get on the end of the crosses, but in the end it was to no avail. Overall, neither team was overly impressive in this match, which may give Italy a lot of encouragement heading into the quarters, particularly with De Bruyne and Hazard potentially absent. But I would love to know down below what you made of this match and any other tactics you noticed. More importantly, I want your early predictions for Italy versus Belgium. And if you want even more content whilst helping to support the channel, consider checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/footballmadesimple. You'll get early access to videos, exclusive videos, as well as access to the upcoming FMS video podcast. But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.